Hey all, welcome to Parker's Reefs. In today's episode I'm going to give you a super quick review on the Great White DC Skimmer. Alright, so as discussed, I want to keep this review super quick, and that's because I never actually really planned on doing a review on this skimmer. It was a swap to help a buddy of mine out, James. You may have seen him in some of my other tank videos where we moved the Red Sea Max, and also when I got a loan of the Tunzi 9001 for the Idiot Proof Reef tank, and he was having a little bit of trouble with this skimmer. Well, in fact, he was having a little bit of trouble with every skimmer he had, where the volute for the skimmer intake was calcifying over and blocking the air like within a few days. So I said we should swap skimmers, and he can have a try of my E-shops and I'll have a try of his Great White. All good and well, so that gave some good content to give the E-shops a good clean out. But I've had this Great White here now for about a week and a half, coming up on 2 weeks, and I figured, as you can see, it's getting some results, and I've had a few people asking me about it, so I figured, whilst it's only been a couple of weeks, I may as well give my early feedback on it and pop it out there for the world to critique. So there has been a few things that have really impressed me and a couple of things that have left me scratching my head with this skimmer, so I figured I may as well go over them both with you, and we can go from there. So first of all, it's really hard to tell in this room because the sound from the various equipments on across all of the tanks in here makes a lot of noise. One thing I can tell you is the Great White skimmer is the quietest skimmer I've ever heard. It is absolutely silent. I couldn't believe when I plugged the power into it that it was actually running. I know skimmers say they're quiet or say they're silent. This thing is as quiet as they come. It's absolutely amazing. The next thing I'll point out is this is the DC model. So this is the Great White 7 Plus, which means it is the DC controlled pump. Now, that allows me to control the pump in, I think, up to 20 steps. Now, that's all good and well. I don't need 20 steps. Normally I'll adjust I'll normally put the pump flat chat, and I'll adjust the height of the water either by the control knob or by lifting or raising the skimmer. But that being said, having that extra control on the DC pump is very handy, so I'm going to put that down as a plus as well. Alright, next up is this really nifty little air silencer thing here. It's quite strange to have no can hanging off the side of the skimmer. It's got the airline comes up and goes into the back here of the of this sort of like collar around the skimmer body, and you've got an adjustment screw there to fiddle with your air screw, with your air supply. Now, at first I thought that was a little overcomplicated, but in reality it works really well. Super simple, and it just keeps the footprint and the airspace of the skimmer as small as possible. Alright, I couldn't go on with the pros without talking about the quality of the acrylic. The acrylic on this thing is very nice. It's right up there with some of the most expensive skimmers on the market. And bearing in mind that this is absolutely not one of the most expensive skimmers on the market. In fact, it's one of the cheapest. So the quality of the acrylic on it is really amazing. Absolute thumbs up on that one. And I guess the final pro, and it's kind of probably the most important one, is the performance of the skimmer. This tank has very low bioload on it. In fact, it only has one filefish in there in a fairly large tank. It's a 5 foot by 2 by 2 tank. You can see now I've ran this skimmer fairly wet because I wanted to get a fairly dramatic result out of it in this time. But 2 weeks worth, remembering this is one very small fish, has pulled out this much skimmer, and it's quite good quality. You can see the foam is still there. In fact, we're even building up a bit of crud and stuff on the neck. So it's really pulling out the waste, which is exactly the whole purpose of the skimmer. Alright, on to the cons. Now, this is just my personal opinion. I don't want any flame back on this, guys. I feel like I need to give a balanced review, and I have only had this product for a couple of weeks, but I wanted to point out a couple of things that I was just feeling a bit strange about. First one is the volute to the skimmer. It feels like it's 3D printed. Now, for some people that's great. For some others, I don't know, it just feels, when you've got this incredible quality acrylic and then you've got kind of a 3D printed volute, I don't know, it feels like it's just come back a gear there, but that being said, it's performing well, so what would I know? All right, the next thing is a little bit of a strange one, and that's the water height adjustment. It's got a little indicator on top which has a plus and a minus, indicating which way you need to turn to raise or lower the water or the water height in the skimmer. Now, I found that if I turned it towards the minus, it would actually raise the height of the water, and if I turned it towards the plus, it would lower the height of the water. I could be reading that wrong, but that seems completely backwards to me. Okay, my final con or gripe or head scratching moment with the Great White Plus or Great White 7 Plus is that I mentioned earlier that the skimmer has, it's a DC controlled pump, and it's got buttons to turn the speed up and down. Now, the layout of that controller just seems a little bit weird. The plus is on the left hand side and the minus is on the right hand side. Normally, when you're designing things, you would put them around the other way. It also has a Wi-Fi button, but there is no Wi-Fi control on this skimmer yet. I have heard a whisper that there could be something in the works, but it is a little odd to have a big Wi-Fi button on the controller and no sort of mention of it at all. But again, just my opinion. Also, the branding around the controller doesn't seem to sort of match the skimmer, and I realise that DeLure aren't making the pumps that go in these skimmers. They're obviously outsourcing them, but maybe some more sort of Great White or DeLure branding on the controller might just help tie it all together, but really it's just an aesthetic thing. Alright guys, there you have it. There's my pros and cons for the Great White DC skimmer. As you can see, most of, if not all of my cons were fairly aesthetic. Doesn't really matter which way you turn the water height knob, and it doesn't really matter where the plus and minus on the controller or what the controller looks like. The main thing is that the skimmer is good quality and it performs, and it's absolutely performing, and the quality of the acrylic is, I almost hesitate to say, but it's probably second to none. It's right up there with the best quality of acrylic on skimmers on the market. So all in all, I give the skimmer a thumbs up. When you combine the price of it, the small footprint, the absolute silent noise, the performance it pulls out, I really don't mind some of those other cons. But hey, to keep a balanced review, I thought I'd give you the things I liked most about the skimmer and also the things I disliked most about the skimmer. I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. If you've got any questions for myself about the skimmer, pop it in the comment section down below. If I don't know the answer myself, I will get in touch with the manufacturer to find out for you. As always, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, and if you have not yet, please consider subscribing so you won't miss out on any future videos on this channel. Till next time, guys, stay safe and keep reefing. Bye.